Hello everyone. I'm seeing, I think that'll work just fine. Oh, that's annoying in the background. Hi everyone. Welcome to I think this is our third live stream if I counted correctly. There is a good chance I did not. Math is not my strong suit, sadly. I was gonna try to take, it's bothering me. Am I not, ooh, what if I do this? Ooh, hold on. I don't know if I like it better. Whatever, we're just leaving it like that. Okay. It's a little less distracting than what I had in the background there. Hi, everyone. Again, if you have a favorite music, or I guess if you like silence, you can say you like silence too, to read or to write to, let me know in the comments. Let me get rid. I don't know what I'm doing. I promise. Oh, never mind. I got rid of it by myself. Sometimes I'm technologically challenged a little bit. Depends on the book, but I love listening to fantasy or tavern music. I also like that too, depending on the book. Sometimes I can't listen to anything. Sometimes I'm listening to something when I'm not reading, like I'm hooked on a song. I get really fixated on some songs sometimes. You're like, wow, I love this song, and I play it like 24/7, and it gets until I get tired of it. But sometimes that song that I've been playing a lot will get stuck on my head. And so whenever I think of the book I was reading at the same time, I was also like playing that song and repeat. Whenever that song comes on, I immediately think of that book. So there's specifically the one that stands out the most. Actually, there's two. The Stormlight archive books go toward a song called Secret Melody by Two Steps from Hell. And then Mistborn is Flight of the Silverbird by Two Steps from Hell. And then, weirdly enough, those are both epiccore songs. So they've since broken up, but they were a composing duo who composed like movie score type epic music. They were awesome. Highly recommend you find them on Spotify. But when I was reading the Michael J. Sullivan series, the Right Era Revelations, specifically High Hopes, I think, is it Panic at the Disco? I think I'm gonna have to look that up. It's fine. I'm not gonna look it up now. Anyway, that song was on repeat. It was like really popular when I was reading that series. And so whenever I think of High Hopes or hear the song, I immediately think of Royce and Hadrian from the Right Era Revelations. If you have not read the Right Era Revelations, which is a little lesser known than some of the mainstream fantasy, highly recommend. It's decently clean, has some violence, tiny bit of language. I don't think there's any spice whatsoever that I remember at all. Fantastic. Royce and Hadrian are my favorite duo. They have the best bromance, and I wanted to name my kid Hadrian, but my husband said no. I tell that story all the time, but it's true, and I'm still salty about it. So that's why I still talk about it. Over on Instagram, I could brain fart there. Alyssa says, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Yes, I love that movie, one. Two, I love Bryan Adams, and he did a lot of the soundtrack for it, and just like even like the score is just beautiful. But did Hans Zimmer do that one? I feel like Hans Zimmer might have done that one too. Hans Zimmer is one of my favorite composers, for sure. Mandy says, usually classical music. Words make me so distracted. Yes, if I'm reading, I can't actually listen to music with words. But like I said, sometimes I'm like fixated on a song like High Hopes, and that reminds me of the book. But definitely more epic soundtrack music I can listen to. Like I mentioned earlier, Zoomies says, I love instrumental playlists to read to, lots of soundtrack type tracks. I cannot speak. I also think I like the Minecraft music to listen to when I'm reading or doing something. I used to put that on when I was a teacher. I used to put the Minecraft soundtrack on while the kids were working, and that worked really, really well because all the kids loved it, and it was just so comforting. It's so like peaceful. It's wonderful. Underground by Tom Waits is on repeats. Oh, fun. I'm trying to think of Tom Waits songs. I'll have to look that one up. I'm thinking of the guy from the 80s. I don't know if it's the same guy from the 80s though. I don't believe it is. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm so glad you guys are here. We're going to go ahead and get started. I think I might have to make myself smaller, possibly. Yeah, that's, in my opinion, that's too small. Let me check over on, yeah, it's gonna be too small. That's a little better, right? Or we'll put me in the corner. There we go. That's better. So I have some questions that were submitted ahead of time on my Discord, so I'll be answering those today. But if you have a question, definitely leave it in the comments. If you are on Instagram specifically, definitely put a check mark just so it's easier for me to find, because there's no question box because I am streaming to both YouTube and Instagram. And so it takes away my question box. Alyssa also says her sister listens to Lindsay Sterling, which, yes, I love Lindsay Sterling. She is a fantastically like talented and just like amazes me. People are so talented in the music sphere. Yeah, so I'll try to get those at the end. This is a shorter one because I don't have as many questions. So if you have questions, definitely put them in the comments and we'll try to get to them. But we also, our agenda today is I have questions, and then I have an announcement for the end of the live stream. So that's going to be exciting. And then I'll talk about when my next live stream is, because the next one will be our last planned live stream, but I have some ideas. But we'll get to that in a minute, of course. Let's go ahead and start. If you, oh, rats, hold on. Let me, can I move myself? I can't move myself. There you go. I'll get rid of me for a second, just in case. If you are new here, have no clue who I am, I'm Allie Ernest. I wrote this series. It starts with Cities of Smoke and Starlight. It is available in all formats: ebook, paperback, hardcover, audiobook. You can actually find the audiobook on YouTube right now for free, both books 1 and book 2. Otherwise, they're available pretty much anywhere. You can request them from your library. Yeah, definitely check it out. My narrator did a fantastic job. It's a series about 2 people. It's enemies to lovers, kind of hate to love subplot, kind of like Anastasia, divine rivals. It's like the World of Treasure Planet, Rogue One, all those vibes. So it's definitely science fantasy vibes there. I really like it. Adventuresome, lots of romance-ish. I say ish because the 3rd book has a lot more romance. The first 2 don't have it as much. It is definitely a slow burn romance. Yay, another Lindsay Sterling fan. Love it. Okie dokie. So, read along questions. Like I said before, on my Discord, you are allowed to go ahead and submit your live stream questions. I will definitely answer those today. And here we go. Let's go ahead and start. So would you like to see your books in a comic version one day? That would be really cool. I think it'd be really awesome to see mine as a graphic novel. Any other media is just, I think is really cool. I also really like visual media. I am not talented in that regard. I'm having some art done for the 3rd book, and I drew a picture kind of like to show what I'm envisioning for it, and I'm just like, this is why I pay people to do art for me, because I am so bad at it. So I would love to see like a graphic novel version of my book. That would be the coolest thing ever. But who knows? Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. We'll see. Have you seen your own writing skills grow over the course of writing this series? Yes. It has been an eye-opening experience in the sense that working with other people has helped so much. I worked with a couple people in the beginning. I worked with a critique partner, and I learned so much from her. Her name was Becca. Becca is a wonderfully talented author herself. She's actually published, it's a thriller. She writes thrillers, and so if you're interested in that, you can definitely check her out. Her name is Becca Day. She helped me a lot she was one of the first people to actually read my first finished book. That wasn't a family member or somebody I was close to. When I was first starting out, I had a lot of trouble finding beta readers because I didn't know anybody in the community, and so I think my aunt read it, my cousin read it. I did find someone on Twitter to read it, and they were also extremely helpful. But getting yourself out there and like getting critiques and people to tell you what you're doing wrong is so helpful, and that has helped me the most, I think. I decided for book 1 to send it off to a developmental editor after I queried it for a while, and I was like, I need to do something, and something is wrong with my book. And so I sent it off to developmental editor, and it was the best experience because I learned so much about myself as a writer and what not to do. I also applied to a couple contests. At the time it was author mentor match. I don't know if they still do that. I believe they don't. But I got to the 2nd round of author mentor match, and I wasn't chosen, but one of the mentors that requested my full gave me some feedback, and that was so helpful. So yes, I have grown. And so for book 2, I did a developmental edit, but I realized that everything that I thought was wrong with my book was correct. based on the developmental editor's feedback. So I feel like I've grown story-wise. I feel like my writing skills have grown. Writing prose is still hard for me. I have to go through and like really fix it up. At the end, my first drafts are really, really bad. So I feel like they've grown. You'll see when you read the third book. I feel like the third book is probably my best story-wise. And you'll see why. It is really long though. It is almost 800 pages. I'll show you the hardcover proof at the end, which is part of, not my announcement, but like one of the little like fun thing I'll show you at the end there. If you could live anywhere on Yelvara, where would you choose? I would live in Windwick, and you have not seen Windwick yet, but you will see Windwick in book 3. That's where I would live. It's not Kaivana. I do not like the city. I think I mentioned it last live stream. I was like, anything that would put me in the city, I don't want to be part of. I don't like the big city. I avoid it at all costs. I like the middle of nowhere within reason. I would like to have access. I told myself that I grew up in the middle of nowhere where you couldn't get pizza delivered. I told myself that once I got out of the house and when I was on my own, I would never live anywhere where I could not order pizza and have it delivered. But I have some caveats. But yes, that's kind of my answer for that, I guess. What are the moon phases on Yalvara, and are they equivalent to ours? We see first moon mentioned a lot. I'm guessing it's like the full moon, but what are the others? I saw second moon mentioned once, but what does it correlate to Earth? To an Earth term. So it is not the full moon. I will say that Yalvara has 2 moons. So it has first moon and second moon. Very ingenious naming, obviously. But I wanted it to have some kind of difference from Earth. It is very much like Earth, where the reason I did that is because I wanted it to feel normal in the sense that when people would read it, they would be able to connect with it, and it wouldn't be like, hey, here's a brand new world with completely different like laws of physics and stuff like that we'd have to get used to. I would feel like you'd have to suspend your disbelief for too much. So I decided to just make little tweaks. So one thing is you have 2 moons. They don't really affect much other than the fact that one is, first moon has like, basically like our moon has like white light, where second moon is more like reddish light. Second moon comes in at the second half of the night. First moon is the first half of the night. So first, second there. So in the first 2 books, you don't see a whole lot of second moon because they don't stay up very late. But I believe second moon is mentioned a couple more times in book 3. I don't know. There's no really significance to it, just a extra world building thing. Another thing with, I can't remember if I kept it in book 1. I'd have to go back and actually look. But there is a deer at some draft, possibly in the final draft of book 1. Zeke kills a deer that has, there's something weird with it. I can't remember if I gave it an extra head or like it was purple or something. So that was a hint to things I want to write in the world. And I'll leave it at that because there's more to the world than you see in this series. And I would love to explore that one day. Let's see here. Did you go ahead, or did you know ahead of time that Samuel was born to be a boy, or did you flip back and forth a lot? I flipped back and forth until he was born. I had a girl name picked out. I thought I was going to do a girl, but then I was like, well, I think a boy would be good. And then I went back and forth. And finally, when Samuel was born, Samuel is born in book 2. I'm not going to say more than that because it is spoilers, but it's not too bad of a spoiler. But yeah, I didn't know if he was going to be a girl or boy until I read that scene. And then it just fell into place for many different reasons. Is there any particular symbolism, allegory, and you're choosing to focus on the Odyssey in book 1 and Frankenstein in book 2? I love this question. I don't want to nerd out too much, but I'm nerd out like a little bit. So yes and no. So okay, I'm trying to figure out how much to like talk about. So I chose the Odyssey because at the time when I was writing this, I was teaching 8th grade language arts, and part of the Odyssey was our curriculum. And when I taught the 9th grade course, I taught it to 8th graders. So I kind of didn't do the full like fleshed out version of the Odyssey. I did a abridged version of the Odyssey. So I loved it. I loved teaching it. I loved the story. And so that's why I chose the Odyssey to kind of help with the structure of book 1, because I loved it so much. I knew a lot about it. I was currently teaching it. So it's at the forefront of my mind. And plus, I really like Odysseus's fatal flaw, which is his pride. And so I really wanted to play with that with Hallie and Case, because they both have different versions of pride and how that makes them very, very flawed at the beginning specifically. And it was such a, Odysseus's journey in the Odyssey is just one of my absolute favorite. He goes from, you know, battle guy, really conceited, very prideful, I'm the best at everything, to completely and totally humbled. And the reward of that is just so wonderful. And I love the Odyssey. And so that's why Odyssey was book one. And plus, I really had the influences of First Earth. I really liked that old world feel to the books, because I feel like that's not seen a whole lot in epic fantasy, which is my favorite genre. And so I thought it added a new shade to epic fantasy than just the typical medieval style fantasy, which I love, but I wanted something a little different. I needed something a little different. And adding some things that I really like from First Earth was a really fun thing to do. And it makes sense. It wasn't an anachronism necessarily. Frankenstein for book two. So because I had the Odyssey in book one, I was like, what if I like have a background theme for each of my books? And so Frankenstein is less of an influence than the Odyssey is in book one, but Frankenstein is a really good influence because of some spoiler. There is one character who is essentially made into a monster of not their choosing. And so there is a specific line. I'm very proud of this line. I remember my editor specifically commenting on this line that talks about that. And if you've read book two, you'll know hopefully what I'm talking about. The line specifically is that toward the end, I have to look up the exact chapter. It's past 33. It's in the climax part when the evil guy is talking. But I was very proud of that line because it referenced Frankenstein. And then Hallie is reading Frankenstein throughout the whole book on their journey. So that was my way to put it in there. Book three has King Arthur influences, which I loved putting King Arthur influences in this book. That was really fun. King Arthur is one of my favorite myths and legends. And so I loved putting it in there. I hinted at it at the end of book two about what book three was going to be about. I gave a King Arthur reference or two. And so it's been really fun to play with. I have a couple different instances where the legend is kind of the allegory or symbolism to the book. So I will leave it at that for book three, but it makes me so happy. I think if I remember, I will probably forget unless I rewatch this. I have a little aesthetic I made to kind of go along with the King Arthur part of this book. So yeah. That is the allegory symbolism there. I'm going to make myself smaller again. How did you balance writing and teaching? Oh, good segue there. If those were things you were doing at the same time. So I did not balance it well, but what I was doing is I wasn't focusing on publishing at the time. So the way my timeline worked was I wrote book one in 2019. I started very early 2019, like January, because I just finished working on my NaNoWriMo book at the time. And I needed something fresh before I dove back into edits on that one. So that's when I started writing Cities of Smoke and Starlight. I initially wrote a scene between Case and Hallie after doing some background work. And I was just like, these characters just came alive. And I was like, I want to write this. So I wrote that book on and off while I was teaching. We lived in two different houses while that was going on. And so part of the time I take that back. We were living in one, but that doesn't matter. It does to the timing because I would wake up really early because I lived about an hour-ish away from where I was teaching at the time. And so I had to wake up super early and write in the morning. And then I would also write in the in-between times. I think Bethany Atazada calls it writing in the cracks. I definitely wrote in the cracks. So when I was making dinner or doing anything that I had like a little bit of downtime, I would write a little bit, but I was waking up really early to write then. I also didn't have kids at the time, which was super helpful. But with book two, it was in 2020. I also didn't have kids, but I also wasn't teaching at the time. I was able to write book two, the first draft, within 8 weeks. And so that really, really helped having no kids to get all that done. I've since had 2 kids, and so I edited pretty much all 3 books while I had kids, 1 or 2 kids, and then this third one I had both kids. I wrote it and published and publishing it, which has been a lot more difficult than when I was teaching and writing, for sure. What's the main difference in writing a villain versus the good guys? What type do you like writing best? And this one specifically referenced Harlan and Case, because Harlan isn't really a good guy. He's not. He's kind of a horrible person. And Case is very, very flawed. He's not a villain. He's not really an anti-hero, but he is a good person who has a lot of flaws. And I really enjoyed writing both of them for different reasons. It was fun to write Harlan because it was just like, I was thinking, what is the worst possible person? And I wrote that. And so it was easier to write because like any bad thought I had, I could be like, well, I could write that into this character. So it came easier because of that. But Case was probably the best to write because he's a good person at heart. And so it's hard. I don't really have a true villain in the sense of like Voldemort or President Snow or anything in my books, because I guess the villain is like yourself. It's very much an internal arc. And so it's a very character-driven series. And so the villain is yourself. And we're all villains in that way, I guess, because we all have flaws. So I think I'll leave it at that because otherwise it gets into some spoilers there. But yeah, I don't know if that quite answered the question, but I do like the answer. Have you ever written a character arc according to what you had planned and realized it just didn't fit the character after all and had to change it? Yes, Hallie in book 3, I wrote her first half of her arc 3 times. I like would write it and then I scrapped it all and I wrote it again and I scrapped it all and wrote it again. And I didn't completely scrap it the 4th time, but I almost scrapped it a 4th time, for multiple different reasons. It just wasn't working, and it wasn't. Yeah, I like what I have right now. It's gonna stay. It works really well. I did have a slight change to her arc that I was gonna add. It was gonna pretty much rewrite it again, but I decided that I might use that idea for a different book because it was just gonna be too much. Hannah, I see. Go ahead and submit a question on Instagram and I'll count it. You're good to go. This next one is, I know you've mentioned Rogue One and Dune before, but have you been inspired by any lesser known TV, movies, literature? Have you any recommendations for any readers who'd like to want to experience similar worlds and tropes? I don't know. So I had never read Dune. I had never seen Dune before writing this. I had somebody tell me, I'm sorry, I'm grabbing a pen. I had someone tell me that my book was a lot like Dune when I was trying to figure out comps for it. So that's why I included Dune. I've since watched the first Dune. I wasn't a huge fan. I've tried to read it, wasn't a huge fan. I don't like the omniscient narrator personally, but I kind of want to give it a second try because I think I would actually really like it. And I've read some other omniscient points of view or omniscient narrators since. And so I think I might be able to, my brain could actually do it. I think I just wasn't smart enough before. But Rogue One was a huge inspiration for sure. I'm trying to think of some lesser known ones that I would choose. When I was writing it, I was definitely, book 1, I definitely had a Journey to the Center of the Earth in my head. I think they've redone the movie, but there was a movie that came out in like the 50s or 60s that I remember watching in school and absolutely loving. So that one is probably the best one I can think of. Other people have compared my books to Firefly. I have never seen Firefly. I also had never seen Treasure Planet before I wrote this book. I watched it for the first time ever last year. Loved it, but I had not watched it. There's also another series. I know it was on Cartoon Network when I was in like high school, I believe. I think it was called Skyland. I loved it. I never got to finish it, but it was like the world had come apart, and it was like there was like floating chunks of the world and they had to like go between it. Super cool. Don't remember much about it, but that one kind of fits in the science fantasy kind of realm. And there are some plot lines that are kind of similar-ish to my book. So I maybe would suggest that one. I think I've suggested before Dark of the West by Joanne Hathaway. I have not finished the book, so I can't speak for like spice or anything like that. Super similar to my world. He had like a World War II, World War I kind of vibe fantasy, enemies to lovers. So I would recommend those probably for you. Yeah. Book 2 has mentions of Christianity. Are there any other religions that are still practiced? Yes. I have not really mentioned them because, I mean, I am a Christian, and so I know more about that. And so I didn't want to misrepresent anything. And plus, it's not the focus of my books. My books are fantasy first. Christianity is part of the world. It's part of, what not influences, but I guess it does. My Christian belief does influence my writing, but I'm not writing Christian fiction. And so I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but because it's a world that takes place within our world-ish, I thought it was pertinent to mention that there is hints of other things out there. Christianity is one of them. What is your favorite part or theme of a character's arc that you've incorporated in? I cannot talk about this because it's a huge spoiler for book 3. However, Job's arc has been really fun to write for reasons. But my real answer to this is a spoiler for book 3, and I won't say it here. Da, 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 da. I can't wait for you guys to read book 3. I'm so excited. And it's like exactly 2 weeks, which is mind-blowing that we're here, because I never thought we'd get here, if I'm being honest. I know you mentioned it would be cool to have your books as an anime. Yes. But if you were offered a live action movie deals, yes. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, like with the graphic novel stuff, oh my stars. It would be the coolest thing ever to see my book in different media. I love it. I love getting art made because it's so cool to see people interpret what I've given them and like spit it out. It's so cool. I mentioned earlier that I am working with an artist right now. I'm trying to get the stuff together. I have it looking at it on my screen to get it to her to do a scene from book 3 that I loved to get it ready for us. And I just it's the coolest thing ever to see your characters come to life in that way. And I love character art. Any fan art that you have, definitely tag me in. I got tagged in one the other day, but I haven't been posting the rest of this week. Just haven't really felt like it, with everything going on. But I want to probably share it this week because it is such a cool art. I love it. I love it. Yes. Have you ever considered writing a short story or novella for any character in the series that is not a main character that we don't get a viewpoint from? Whose perspective would you choose to write from if you did? I have ideas. So I actually wrote 2 short stories that were up on my website before book 1 was published, I believe. I don't think I'd published it yet. One was from Case's point of view. The other one was from Hallie's point of view. And they were taking place in the past before the events of Cities. So Case's point of view was the night of Anna's betrothal dinner. And Hallie's was, trying to remember if I ever referenced, I think I've referenced it in book 2, I believe. Hallie and Jack and Niels are just doing their thing, going around the town, and I believe they almost get run over by a hover. I think I reference it in book 2. I can't remember if I do or not. I wrote that one. It was called Spring Rains. The Case one was called Shattered Lace. I have since taken them down because they don't fit canonically quite anymore, based on things I've written. I would love to redo them and republish them. I have an idea to do like a collection of short stories. I don't know if I ever will. My original plan at one point was to write a point of view, like short story vignette from Job's perspective, Zeke's perspective, Eva's perspective, Ben's perspective. I don't know if I'll do that, but I would love to. And there are some new characters that you meet in book 3, which I think could have some novellas or some kind of spinoff with it. And so I would just love to write one character's point of view. I can't wait till you guys read book 3. I've said that like 6 times this live, but it's true. Okay, so that was the last question. I have some questions on YouTube. I'm gonna see if I have any on Instagram. I don't believe so. Yes, Hannah, I love it. I'm so excited about this art. This artist is fantastic. Oh my word. I cannot wait to share the art when it's done. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. I'll make myself big again. Let's see. I saw some questions on YouTube come in. Do you plan on doing another series? Yes, I would love to keep writing. I mean, I don't want to like say like, yes, I will be writing and I will be writing a series. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I have so many ideas. I would love to do, I have a cozy idea. It's like a series of interconnected standalones that are like Hallmark meets epic fantasy. I would love to write that. I don't know if I will. It might be too cozy for me, but it just seems so cute. And I've kind of halfway plotted one of them. That might be next. I also, since I've been going through these books and reading and like did my final read through of book 3, it was, I had a really good idea. For a bigger series. I would like to write a bigger series. I like 3. 3 is my favorite number. A trilogy is great. But like a 5-book series would be kind of fun. It would just take me longer to publish and get through it. So Hannah, yes, I am so excited as well. Sorry, on Instagram. So yes, I love series. The payoff, it's been really frustrating to write a series because I've had to like, I'm a discovery writer, so I tend to write by the seat of my pants, even though I have like a goal in mind or kind of I know where I'm going, but that usually changes. And so in the first 2 books, I was like, hey, I'll write this, I'll add this, I'll figure out how to like connect it later. And so connecting things in this 3rd and final book has been a struggle. I kind of like hated myself multiple times for things I set up in books 1 and 2 that I had to figure out how to resolve because I didn't have a plan when I was like, oh, I'll just throw that in there. But it has been so rewarding to finish the series and like grow with these characters. Case and Hallie's arc is my favorite. Yes, they start out pretty immature. And I mean, I was very immature at 21. I'm just gonna be honest. I was not mature at all. And so that was really fun to write and see them start so like immature and then to mature into where they are in book 3. It was such a satisfying thing. So like I do enjoy series. I probably won't write standalones, but maybe I will. I don't know. I never say never. If so, will it be the same type of genre? Yes, I like writing fantasy. I really like science fantasy. I like adding the sci-fi elements. I don't know if it'll be more sci-fi or more fantasy or really straddle the line. I feel like that this series does, but I do like adding the both elements of it because I feel like that adds a little bit of a difference and uniqueness to the world that some people really want. Like I love epic fantasy. I will always continue to read epic fantasy, but sometimes I lean to something a little different. And I want to point out that Brandon Sanderson, his new books, a lot of them are kind of gearing toward the science fantasy space, which makes my little science fantasy heart happy because people want to read it and it's so fun. Yay, yay, yay. Yes, yes, yes. I would love to write a Zeke's point of view. I thought about writing one to put in the hardcover for book 1, but I just didn't get it done in time, and I was trying to get book 3 done. And I was like, I think I'll save it for some kind of novella or short story collection or something because it would be really fun to write his point of view. I agree. Okay, I'm looking to see if I have more questions anywhere before I move on to the announcement that I teased a second ago. And in case you didn't read fast enough, book 3 announcement. So I will not be splitting up the book. I'm going to be officially like putting this on Instagram and the newsletter and stuff tomorrow. But I thought I would just share it here because why not? It will be releasing on September 28th. So the full thing, September 28th, is coming your way. All 752 pages of it. So I do have the paperback and hardcover pre-orders are up now. Long story short, I was able to get the proof orders in rather quickly and they looked really good. So I'm excited. Pretty much the final files have been uploaded. There is one tweak I need to make to the ebook. That's just to add like a review link at the end, but that's like, I'm done with the book. The book is done. The book is done. And I didn't think I was going to get here in this amount of time. I also paid a little extra to get these proof copies in quickly because I wasn't planning on doing physical pre-orders because I wasn't able to get a proof in. But however, I sold my soul to get this little baby right here. Oh my stars. If you were in part of my Hover Cruise broadcast channel, you saw the hardcover proof. I put a video in there and it is absolutely gorgeous. I physically literally gasped out loud when I saw it in my thing. I'll make my face bigger. Hold on so you can see it. It is just absolutely gorgeous. The only tweak I made was to center this a little more, if you're curious. But like, it is so beautiful, and you have all this stuff here. I'll show you. I'll show you one of the. Let's see, whose is this? I'm trying to find a chapter header to show you that isn't too spoilery. I'm trying to look for Hallie's specifically. I don't know if it's going to come through, but there you go. There's Hallie's chapter header there. It's gorgeous. It's a little dark, but it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Yay! I'm sorry, you, Alyssa, you've been going crazy waiting, you and your fiance, but I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you guys to get this. Thank you, Alyssa, over here to Alyssa's. I love it. Here's my, there we go. Yeah, so I essentially decided, so you can't really tell from the book. When I got the proof back with these smaller fonts, I made it smaller by 0.5. You can't tell a difference. The only reason you guys will know that it's a smaller font is because I'm telling you. So that made me feel better. That cut off a lot of pages. It shrunk it. And so I was able to fit it into beneath the 776 page limit. And because I was like, I'm just ready for this book to be out there. I don't want to belabor it anymore. If I were to release it in 2 parts, you would end up paying more money over time. I would have to continue to, make sure everything is put in order. And this book needs to be out there. And it deserves to be like one book. It's the way I want it, and so I'm excited about it. But yes, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pretty much anywhere you can get a paperback or hardcover online. The pre-orders are up. You can definitely go do that. And pre-order it. Tomorrow I will have the links live on my Instagram. You guys are the first people getting to know that are officially live. However, some people have found it because I've gotten a couple pre-orders come in, which is thank you so much. Will there be signed paperbacks available? Yes. When I get them in, I will be putting all those on my Etsy. I have a bunch of book 2 hardbacks as well. I have not put those up on Etsy. I have book 2 hardbacks. I'll have book 3 hardbacks. I'll have 1, 2, and 3 paperbacks all up on my Etsy. I need to process those and get those ready, but I will be doing bundles as well. So what I'm planning on doing is having book 1s available, a couple of just book 2s available, but most of it will be a triple bundle. But I know some people will need just like one or the other because you've already ordered one or the other of the different paperbacks or hardbacks or whatever. So I have a lot of different options for you on my Etsy, but those will be going live probably, it won't be on release day. I know that it'll probably be closer to the end of October. Just when I order a big thing from this specific printer, it takes a little bit to get in. And the art that I'm getting commissioned and I'm working on getting to my girl is going to be in the 3rd book pre-order, or not pre-order, the signed copies of the hardback, possibly the paperback. So yeah, so I have to wait for that because it's so good. Oh, it's gonna look so good. Yes. Okay, I think that is it for that. Again, I'll be posting about that tomorrow and have all the links live. But if you want to go and look, totally fine. Let's see. Oh, Hannah says, okay, not super book related, but what made you use a publisher name instead of just your name? Because some people would rather see that it was a publisher. If they see that it was published by Ali Ernest, they're not going to pick it up because they know it's indie. And so that's the reason I used a publisher name. It is my LLC. So like I also run a business through that. So my husband and I actually share an LLC. So he doesn't do books. He doesn't read at all. But so I use the LLC name for that to kind of give it more authenticity as a publishing house. And so I'm able to put my logo specifically on, I had Ingrid, I can't tag her, but Ingrid did my my logo. It's hard to see on camera right now, but it's a little dragon. Dragon Page Entertainment is our LLC and our publishing house. So yes, I believe that's it. I think that is all what I have. Oh, our next live stream is really exciting because it is release day. We'll be doing a release day live stream. So if you have been following along and doing my Discord, which thank you so much, I have enjoyed every single bit of you guys going on Discord and kind of discussing my books and asking questions. I'm loving it. You guys are entered into a giveaway. So If you asked a question for each of the lives, you'll be getting digital rewards as well. I'm putting that together, something I have to do the next week or so. I also am going to put you in a giveaway for a book box, which I'm also currently putting together. I'm so excited about that. There'll be a giveaway for the first read along for book 1 and a giveaway for the second read along for book 2, which is what we're currently in. I believe I should have looked that up. That was my bad. Let me see if I can pull that up real fast. What? Let's see. We are on chapters 25 through 32 of book 2 this week, and next week is the last week. So 8 chapters this week. But yeah, I'll be doing a giveaway for book 1, book 2, and just a release day 1, just because why not? But all book boxes will include the hardcovers for all 3 books. They will include just little knickknacks and things like that, art, some stickers, magnets. I'm trying to get some, what are they called? Custom candles made. I'm so excited about that. My best friend, she runs a candle business, and so we're working together to have specific Gate Chronicles candles. I might be able to do something with the end pages. I'm not sure. I have someone who might do a design on the side. I'm not sure if I want to do that quite yet because that would take longer. But those will be going out. I'll be doing the giveaway then at the next live stream. That's my point. So that will be part of that. I don't know exactly what else is going to be part of the live stream, but I'm still putting that together. That's on my to-do list. But we'll be discussing again and having some questions. And I just want to thank all of you guys for joining me today. It's been so fun. Yay! So if you want to join the Discord, you can. It is not on YouTube, I believe. I think it's in my Instagram bio. I hope. I think it is. If not, just message me and I will definitely get you that link so you can join. I should have had that prepared, but I do not because I just didn't. But anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. I appreciate it. You all being here, and I will see you guys next week. And tomorrow I will be announcing the pre-order stuff. So all exciting.